Hi, Gina.
Hi, Byron.
How are you?
I am doing really well today.
Good. You look a little bit different.
What do you mean I look different?
Well, from the last time we got together.
What do you mean by that?
Well, that version of yourself, the last time we got together, was an earlier version of who you are today.
You're right. And we talk about this a lot. Past, present, and future versions of ourselves.
And I've heard you talk about this ever since we met.
Yeah.
And it's a very profound concept. So maybe you want to tell the viewers a little bit more about this idea, because it really is, it's really fascinating and liberating and freeing all at the same time.
It is, and it's a word that not only, or a theory that I work on myself, but my girlfriends and I and all my friends, we talk about it, because one of the biggest things that people talk about is, oh, I wish I had never done that, or I have regret about choices that I made in the past. And one thing I often tell my friends is, you're disrespecting a previous version of yourself, because whatever those choices were that you made last year or 10 years ago or 20 years ago, that version of yourself was doing the absolute best that they could do at that moment in time, with the knowledge that you had at that moment in time.
With that information,
yes,
of who that version was, whether you're 10
right,
or 25 or 17 or even 40,
yeah,
we make choices, but we don't have the wisdom that we do today, let's say.
Yes, you're exactly correct. And by saying that I regret or I wish I would have, what you want to recognize is that today, in this version of yourself, because of that experience, you now have the knowledge to know what you could have done, but not disrespecting, not having regret about that choice that previous version of yourself made. But now you have that knowledge, that maturity, that wherewithal to know that going forward, I might make different choices. But we can't have regrets. They don't serve us. We can't change the past. The past is now a memory filled with lots of lessons that we had to learn.
Right. That's actually well said about the lessons, because so many people, myself included, you might look back with, let's say, regret or even guilt.
Yes.
Or maybe wishing you wouldn't have done something. But as you're saying, if you're following those steps on our own journeys,
right,
we are where we are today because of those prior choices.
Absolutely. And words like regret and guilt, I'm glad you brought that up, because guilt is another one that we carry within us. I feel so awful that I made this choice. But by disrespecting, by having a low vibe feeling for past choices, we're sitting basically in the mud today. We're saying, oh, I just think so little of myself. I think I just don't have that high vibe feeling of myself, and you can't change the past.
Right.
So all we can do, and I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it takes a lot longer for it to resonate like in our psyche. It's one thing to know those words, but for it to resonate in your psyche that you cannot change anything that you've done before now. Right now, this minute, like our Being in the Now video that we did a little while ago.
Right.
Right now, being in this minute is all that we have control over, because what comes next is still unknown, and what has been is already happened. We can't change it.
I love that whole concept. It's really kindness to ourselves.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Some empathy to ourselves, some forgivingness, being kind, like I said, to those choices that we made with the absolute best knowledge that we had at that time.
Right, you're exactly right. And that's another really, this topic just fires me up. We are more frequently kind to strangers than we are even to ourselves.
Right.
Like, imagine when you're in the grocery store and somebody accidentally bumps into you and knocks something out of your hand. You're, oh, okay, it's okay, I'm fine, we've got this, you're kind to that person. But if you walk around the house and you stub your toe into a dresser, you're screaming at yourself, why did I do that? So why are we not as kind to ourselves as we are to others? And those past choices, those, like I said earlier, it's the same thing. We just have to realize that the only reason we feel this guilt is because now we have the knowledge on what that past choice worked out for us. But at that time, we didn't have that knowledge, so we can't knock that version.
So this version of ourself really needs to thank prior versions of ourselves for putting us where we are today.
For teaching.
In essence, for teaching.
Yes.
Our prior versions were teaching ourselves these lessons that we needed.
Yes. Yes. And there's some challenges back there where we feel sad that something worked out the way it did, but on that day we did not contain the knowledge of the experience until now. So
it's a wonderful concept. We're going to talk about this more.
We can go for days.
This whole idea about the versions of ourselves, and really our versions changing every second, really. But I guess we'll dive into that concept in another video.
Yeah, thanks for reining me in on that, Byron. You know I can keep going.
When you're back watching with a new version of yourself.
That's perfect. Yes, you're exactly right.
Well, thank you so much for explaining that.
Thank you. Thank you. And don't forget to like and subscribe and follow our page. Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you for reining me in.